When I was 20 years old, I met a man who was 5 years older than me. He was the most handsome man I'd ever seen. Smart and charming. We clicked instantly. It felt like love at first sight, which I'd never believed in before up until this moment. I know it was quick, but 3 days in, he told me he loved me, and honestly, I felt the same. I met his friends and family, and we were already talking about marriage and children. It sounds crazy, but it felt so real. So a few weeks in, he asked me the question, if I had to leave the country for work, would you follow me? I told him no. I have one last year left at college, and I've worked so hard to get to where I am. I can't stop now. But I would work at a long distance relationship with you. At the time, this was all hypothetical to me. Turns out it wasn't. That's when he dropped the bomb. He had already accepted a job abroad, and not only that, he also told me that he'd been speaking to somebody else. And when he asked her if she would move abroad with him, she said yes without hesitation. So despite saying that I was his soulmate, he was choosing to be with her. I was devastated. The heartbreak absolutely consumed me. You might think it's dramatic, but I fell into a deep depression that lasted 4 months. I felt like I had nothing left to live for. Until a friend introduced me to somebody new. He wasn't quite as good looking, and he wasn't quite as smart, but he was funny, and he made me laugh in a time that I thought I would never laugh again. And he was patient. He was so patient with me. We took things slow, and I finally felt happy again. But life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. One day, my boyfriend comes to me and tells me that he has to leave the country for work. His family was struggling, and this was just something he had to do. And would I go with him? I couldn't believe this was happening again. Surely I wasn't about to lose another love to another country again. But that wasn't the case. He wanted to make things work, and he assured me that we would make things work long distance. A month after he left, he surprised me with a plane ticket to spend Christmas with him. I knew he had roommates, and I knew that they were a couple, but he didn't really know much about them, and from what I could gather, they were just passing ships in the night. I didn't care, there would be other people there. I was just so excited to go and see him. So you can imagine how my whole world came crashing down when I stepped into his house and came face to face with my ex and the girl he left me for. Like for part 2. I locked eyes with him for the first time since he shattered my heart, while his girlfriend stood beside him smiling and greeting me. She had no idea, because he pretended not to know me. I played along, because if he wasn't going to acknowledge our past, neither was I. The next few days were intense. My ex avoided me as much as possible, but every time I was alone with his girlfriend, he would magically appear, as if he was afraid I would tell her something. I bet he was. I confided in my boyfriend. It felt like a heavy weight that I was carrying, so I just told him everything. And I made him promise to keep it a secret because whilst I was staying there, I didn't want to feel more uncomfortable than I already did. Then we get to 2 days before Christmas, where I hear my ex and my boyfriend arguing in the hallway. My ex was accusing me of tracking him down to ruin his life. But my boyfriend stood his ground, saying he knew who he was and that he had to pick up the pieces that my ex had left. He should be ashamed for what he had done to me. I stepped in before things got any worse. I looked my ex in the eyes and I told him, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the man I love, and that's it. He then stormed off in anger, but deep down, I was starting to feel a little bit conflicted. I loved my boyfriend, but seeing my ex again had stirred up feelings that I thought I'd buried a long time ago. The night after Christmas, my boyfriend was working and I was in the kitchen cooking with my headphones on. I felt a presence behind me, so I turned around, only to see my ex standing there, just watching me. He stepped closer, his eyes flickering between my lips and my eyes. My heart pounded. For a second I was lost in the moment and could think about nothing else but kissing him. But I couldn't do that to my boyfriend. So I whispered at him to leave me alone. And he did, slamming the door behind him. By New Year's Eve, I'd tried avoiding him completely. But every day, Me and my boyfriend heard him and his girlfriend arguing over petty things continuously. Things like what she wore, who she was talking to, why she was home late. And that's when I realised that could have been me. One night their arguments were escalating. At 1 a.m, I heard the door slam. She had packed her bags and left. And I don't know why, but this made my situation feel even more vulnerable. So the next morning, I woke up to find the kitchen a mess. Plates were smashed. It was like a crime scene. My ex walked into the kitchen not long after me and apologised. He said he had told his girlfriend the truth, as the guilt was eating him alive, and she clearly didn't take it very well. This guy. I don't know what made me do it, but I asked him if he loved her, and he said that my presence had confused him, but he doesn't want to lose her. I told him if that was the case, then he should go after her. And I didn't realise it, but saying those words out loud was like twisting a knife into my heart. Part 3 pending. Thank you. I absolutely must get the rest of this story out in this part 3. We cannot go to a part 4. That's ridiculous. Months later, I returned for Easter break, and the dynamics in the house had completely changed. My ex's girlfriend was treating my boyfriend like crap, creating ridiculous rules and just making his life a misery. She was also extremely cold to me, making it very clear that we were not friends. The tension exploded one night when my ex ate one of my yogurts. He came to apologise and I said it's fine. Honestly, it's a yogurt. I don't care. She snapped. He accused me of being a cheap girl who sleeps around with other girls' boyfriends. I didn't even eat his yogurt. He ate mine. And I said it was fine. I didn't make a big deal out of it. It was a yogurt. Anyway, my ex turned red the moment she said that. So I turned to him and I said, what exactly did you tell her? Surprise, surprise. He left the room. That night, my boyfriend told me the truth. My ex didn't tell his girlfriend everything because of guilt overwhelming him. He told his girlfriend everything because my boyfriend threatened to tell her everything if he didn't. My boyfriend threatened this because they had got in another fight after New Year's Eve when I had gone home. They worked together and they got in this fight at work. And it was all because my ex was telling people that I had been with him first, and he made it look like I jumped between men. I was disgusted at this, so I confronted my ex, demanding to know why he would say that, why he would even bring it up when he's with somebody else now anyway. He told me that his co-workers were mocking me for being with my unattractive boyfriend, and he was just trying to defend me by telling them that I'd also been with him. That night, I had my first big fight with my boyfriend. He said he was tired of me constantly believing my ex's lies, and that if I had anything left for him, to go back and be with him. I admitted to my boyfriend that I did have feelings, but not the type of feelings that made me want to get back with my ex. Just, I guess, nostalgia. But I knew that my boyfriend was who I wanted to be with because I loved him. I guess sometimes love isn't enough. After I returned home to finish school, things drastically changed between us. Calls became less frequent. The excitement faded. Everything I once overlooked now drove me crazy. By summer, we were practically strangers. When I visited, he looked exhausted. He was working every hour under the sun to try and fund his family's life because they were struggling so much to keep their flat. Whilst home, I had actually found out that the flat was already lost. His mum had a new partner and was spending all of the money on her leisure. Meanwhile, my ex and his girlfriend got engaged. She made sure I saw the ring from the moment I turned up. That summer, my relationship crumbled. My boyfriend and I fought over anything and everything. I think that's just the end of the honeymoon phase. Our biggest fight came when I told him the truth about his mum, about how she'd spent the money, and about how she'd lost the apartment. He refused to believe me without even questioning her, and that's when I knew it was over. Months later, he got in contact. He turned up on my front doorstep, admitting that I was right and that he'd confronted his mum over everything. But by then I'd moved on. I was already with the man who would become my husband. So the moral of this story is that some love stories aren't meant to last, but they lead you to the one that is.